Right now, pups take over Wingward Park, showing off their best costumes. Plus, we hear from Madison locals on what they think of a 43-foot-tall nude statue of Donald Trump displayed on private property over the weekend. And we're following a big showdown in Florida as the Packers aim to keep the winning going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for this late edition of News 3 Now at 10. I'm Jalen Banks. Now, while driving down Pennsylvania Avenue on Madison's northeast side, you may have seen a striking statue, a 43-foot tall one of former President Donald Trump. You could also call it a streaking statue, and as our Merrill Hubbard gives us an all-too-intimate look at this depiction of the former president.
Whether it's for better or for worse, this traveling naked Trump is certainly getting people talking.
I think it's great. I think it shows the man for who he really is, which is not a great guy.
It's insane. It's huge. A little disturbing.
I wish it had a little bit of clothes on it.
This 6,000-pound, all-exposing sculpture is made up of foam and rebar, and it popped up in Madison on Friday. But this isn't the first city the naked figure has streaked through.
Yeah, I think it's going to be in big cities that are big, swing, controversial cities.
Seen in Las Vegas, Phoenix, Detroit, and now Madison, this hovering structure has sparked people's interest in its artist and the message.
I thought, wow, someone's finally showing him for who he is. And I think the artist is brilliant.
An anonymous artist deems this the crooked and obscene tour. The unknown organizers say they want viewers to question the transparency or lack thereof in politics, leaving it up to interpretation.
And for me, Trump represents somebody that doesn't care about America and is willing to do anything for self-serving purposes.
You'd like to think that your president is somebody you can look up to, but quite frankly, this is no worse than anything he himself has done.
Most people who stopped to take a look took joy out of the piece, but others thought it was a poor reflection of where we are at as a country.
You know, this is really shameful that we're depicting our own president like this, but again, this is no worse than what he's done himself.
By the end of Sunday, the naked Trump was taken down to travel elsewhere. From head to toe, it's packed up and ready for the next undisclosed location. Reporting in Madison, Merrill Hubbard, News 3 Now.
Merrill, thank you. In response, supporters of his online have called this traveling sculpture, quote, despicable, questioning why there's such a fascination with the naked depiction of the former president. Now, switching gears to something a little bit more family-friendly, let's get a look at your first one forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller, who's out on the weather patio. Blaze, sporting the coat. How does it feel out there?
We're beginning to cool on down here as we begin to wrap up the weekend, but actually we're not going to be as cool as some of our previous nights. The southerly winds have taken on over. Clouds are going to be increasing, and that's going to allow our temperatures only to dip into maybe the low to mid 40s for most. And we're there in most areas. We're actually into the upper 30s around Green Lake, 43 in Houston'sford, 45 in Necedah, 48 in Madison. Again, we're expecting upper 30s to low to mid 40s for most with those clouds sticking around. Southerly winds have taken on over, and they are going to be picking up in speed as we go throughout your Monday, with gusts expected to be upwards of 30 miles per hour by the time we're heading home from work and as the kids are heading home from school. Now, while Monday and Tuesday we could see some isolated showers, the best chance for more widespread rain is actually going to be Wednesday night along a cold front. This is turning to be more of a soaking rain with some thunderstorms versus maybe some embedded severe weather, but stay with News 3 Now should that change. But we're looking at a half an inch to maybe an inch of rain across a lot of southern Wisconsin, which would be some great news given how dry we've been this month. We even have a low excessive rain outlook for Wednesday into Thursday because of that rainfall. So that is some good news, and the rain chances don't stop there for southern Wisconsin. We'll take a look at that, and the really warm temperatures we're expecting Tuesday and especially Wednesday in your full forecast.
All right, Blaze, we'll see you then. To more local news, a person is shot multiple times at a gas station in the town of Pleasant Springs on Saturday. According to the Dane County Sheriff's Office, the shooting was reported at around 4:47 p.m. at the BP gas station at 2763 County Highway N. Deputies found a person with multiple gunshot wounds. Life-saving measures were performed and the person was taken to a local hospital. Multiple shell casings were reportedly found at the scene. The Madison Police Department is investigating a shooting downtown that left 2 people hurt early Sunday morning. MPD said that around 2:37 a.m. their officers responded to an area near West Gilman Street and North Broome Street, a few blocks to the west of the Capitol building. Police later clarified that the shooting occurred at the Sabres Fusion Grill following a disturbance at the restaurant. A 28-year-old man and 31-year-old man were found with apparent gunshot wounds. Police said one man's injuries were not life-threatening, and he was in stable condition as of Sunday morning. The other man was in critical but stable condition. Now the Packers fly south this weekend to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. Our Andrew Bancher is in studio with more. Andrew, it was good news and bad news kind of day for Green Bay, right?
Yeah, Jalen, that's exactly what it was. The good news, spoiler alert, is that the Packers won. The bad news is they were forced to do it at least for half of the game without Jordan Love. Love came up limping a couple of times throughout the contest, but early in the third, it was this hit that was ultimately the final blow. He missed the rest of the game with a groin injury. The Jags tied it up late in the fourth, and Malik Willis stepped in and did the job. He finds Jaden Reed, just one of just 2 catches on the day for the speedster, but this one was huge. 51-yard gain sets up a field goal try for Brandon McManus, and in his second game as a Packer, he hits his second walk-off field goal. Green Bay wins it 30-27. LaFleur said he didn't know the severity of Love's injury, but he did say this.
Obviously, high level of concern anytime a guy is in there, and he did it early in that first drive, and I think everybody could see him struggling to move around, and it got to a point where we didn't feel like, and he didn't feel like he could protect himself. So went with Malik, and can't say enough great things about Malik Willis, the job that he's able to do to go in there. You know, the moment's never too big for him.
And coming up in sports, we'll bring you a full breakdown from yet another big win for the Packers.
All right, looking forward to that, Andrew. Garver Feed Mill in Madison hosted its 3rd annual Garver Pumpkin Party earlier today. The family-friendly event supplied donated pumpkins for attendees to come and carve and take home a jack-o'-lantern or 2 to add to their Halloween decorations. Organizers of the event say they aim to create an atmosphere that's enjoyable for the entire family.
We want to provide a space for families to be able to come in. Parents can feel like they can actually relax. Like, this is something that is unheard of in our country, in our city. We don't really have spaces like this. You know, it's not a kid space, it's not an adult space, it's both.
Scraps from the carvings were collected and composted by Sustain Day. Trick-or-treating events are happening throughout the week as people celebrate Halloween. Today, furry friends took a part of the celebrations. Our Tanisha Shaw is giving us a look at the 6th annual costume parade on Monroe Street.
Spooky season is here. Everyone is dressed up and ready to see these pups walk around downtown Madison. This dog in particular has walked this same route 4 times.
We love coming here every year and dressing up, and it's nice to come and see all the dogs getting all dressed up, and it's a beautiful day out here.
For a lot of these dogs, it isn't their first walk in the park.
It's just a day to enjoy being out in the sunshine or the rain.
This event is a collaboration with local business owners on Monroe Street, supporting the community financially and giving their neighbors a special Halloween tradition. Outside of the parade, the chocolate shop also had face painting and dog balloons.
We do events all through the year to try and bring people to Monroe Street, get them to know all the other businesses, and it's a great feeling of cooperation.
These 2 dogs are dressed up as both a chicken and a waffle. Their owners are making them participate because it's not only a fun event, but it supports a good cause.
A small registration fee which goes to the Dane County Humane Society, and that's really wonderful to be able to do something for the other animals in our community. I think that our community appreciates the fact that we do something to give back, and they support us as small business owners. We support other important organizations like the zoo and the Humane Society, and it's just a really good feeling.
This is Bella, but today she's going by Olaf, as you can see by the costume. Organizers told me they hope to plan events like this in the future. Reporting in Madison, Tanisha Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanisha, thank you. Coming up next on News 3 Now at 10, Blaze Keller returns with a complete look of your First One forecast. Plus, we take a look at Vice President Harris and former President Trump on the campaign trail as we are just 9 days away from Election Day. And Consumer Report shows us the best tools to upgrade your home office. That and more coming up.
I'm Joan Balwig, and I'm here to set the record straight. I support birth control, the life and health of mothers, extending postpartum care, and fertility treatments, including IVF. I'm Joan Balwig. I have always fought for Wisconsin moms, and I always will.
Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Kamala wouldn't change a thing? Their weakness invited wars, welfare for illegals, while Americans struggle. Now Kamala wants higher taxes on top of higher prices. We can't afford 4 more years of Kamala.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. Why hasn't she done it?
4 years, radical Kamala Harris created the border crisis. Thousands of accused murderers, rapists, even terrorists pour in. Each crime they commit makes American victims. Innocent victims of Kamala's open border agenda. They were bludgeoned, raped, strangled, stabbed, shot, and murdered. Kamala created the border crisis. She won't fix it now. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
You have a clear choice in this election. Senator Baldwin is a 38-year career politician. I'm a businessman and job creator. She supports taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants. I'll close the border. Tammy wants to put guys and girls sports in their bathrooms. I'll protect our daughters. Senator Baldwin abuses the political system. I'll fight the corruption. I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. I'd be honored to have your vote.
Growing up here in southeast Wisconsin, hard work and getting things done are in Brian Stiles' DNA. It's why Stile is recognized as a problem solver in Congress. He's fighting for Wisconsin families every day, combating high prices at the grocery store and gas pump. And Brian Stile is protecting Social Security and Medicare because you've earned it. Brian Stile, getting it done for southeast Wisconsin. Fair Shake is responsible for the content of this ad.
What would a Trump second term look like? It's all laid out in his Project 2025 agenda. He'd let insurance companies deny coverage for pre-existing conditions, cut Social Security and Medicare, and give tax cuts to billionaires, while the middle class pays the price with lower income and higher costs. Because for Trump, it's all about getting unchecked power while you pay the price. Donald Trump, more unhinged, unstable, and unchecked.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme.
The final sprint to Election Day is on, and News 3 Now this morning is focused on the races and the policies that matter to you, the voter.
We're taking a look at both sides of the issues and where the candidates stand so you can cast your vote with confidence.
3 for the people, only on News 3 Now. You're watching News 3 Now at 10. Moving forward.
Thank you for staying with us. Vice President Kamala Harris back in the battleground state of Pennsylvania, while former President Donald Trump appeared at a rally at New York City's Madison Square Garden. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
Returning to his hometown, former President Donald Trump is rallying at the iconic Madison Square Garden, one of the nation's most famous venues.
We're going to defeat Kamala Harris, and we're going to win back the beautiful White House.
He's taking the stage with running mate J.D. Vance and surrogates like Elon Musk in a solidly blue state, but in an effort to speak to a much broader audience and deliver a closing argument 9 days from Election Day.
This will be America's new golden age. It's going to happen quickly, too, very quickly.
For both campaigns, it's a fight for any remaining undecided voters and a game of turnout. Vice President Kamala Harris is spending Sunday in Philadelphia to rally her supporters in the most populated part of the battleground state.
We are a new generation of leadership that is optimistic and excited about what our nation can do together.
The vice president visited a local barber shop after delivering remarks during a Sunday morning church service.
This moment in our nation has to be about so much more than partisan politics.
Harris is scheduled to deliver her closing argument Tuesday on the National Mall, where Trump made his speech on January 6, 2021, before a mob of his supporters attacked the U.S. Capitol. In an interview with Norah O'Donnell, Harris talked about the significance of the location for her event.
This is a real scenario. It's either going to be Donald Trump or it's going to be me, sitting behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office.
New CBS News polling shows the presidential race is as close as it's ever been, with the candidates virtually tied in the battleground states. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Meanwhile, the CBS poll finds that gender gap in voter support for the candidates has grown to the largest it's been all year. Now let's get a look at your first one forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze, what should we expect?
It's going to be a breezy, it is going to be a warm, and it's going to become a little bit more cloudy here as we make our way closer to Halloween. In fact, we might see some record heat not only Tuesday, but Tuesday night as well. We're expected to really blow the record low temperature previously set. We're going to be about 10 degrees warmer than that as we go overnight into Wednesday. Gusts upwards of 45 miles per hour expected on Tuesday as we move north, this more unstable, warm air mass that we really don't see typically for this time of year. Watch as those wind gusts go anywhere between 30 to 35 miles per hour as we go throughout your day on Monday. Tuesday's when they really ramp up, still out of the south, but as we go further into your Tuesday, especially Tuesday night into Wednesday, as we're trying to squeeze the last bit of this air mass out overhead before the cold front moves through later Wednesday. That's when our gusts could be upwards of 45, if not 50 miles per hour. We may issue an alert day for your Tuesday, if not Wednesday, based on winds, but we aren't necessarily seeing that severe weather threat that we might have otherwise seen given all of this that we have together. It's just, I think, too late in the season and the ingredients aren't necessarily coming together at the right time. So we're saying goodbye to that severe weather threat on Wednesday, but it is going to be breezy and it is going to be warm as well. Our high temperatures compared to normal, especially Tuesday, 25 to 30 degrees warmer than average. Our high temperature for Tuesday should be about 54 degrees, and we're expecting those temperatures to be in the upper 70s, if not the low 80s, after hanging out in the mid 60s on your Monday. Take a look at those high temperatures Tuesday, and as I said, Tuesday night into Wednesday, we're only going to cool off by a little bit, so we are going to set a most likely new record low temperature Tuesday night into your Wednesday before climbing back into those mid to upper 70s on Wednesday. If we squeeze out an 80-degree day in the Madison area after Tuesday, that'll be a new record for the latest date that we record at least an 80-degree day in the Madison area. The previous latest date is October 29th. But after that cold front moves through, we do become more seasonal, but still staying above average from Friday all the way through that following Tuesday, which is also when we could see some more rain move into the picture. We'll touch on that in just a moment. We're continuing to add on to the warmer than normal trend for the state of Wisconsin with September's data recently released. We wrote a whole write-up about it with the latest Beyond the Barometer. This is now tied. The January through September 2024 average temperature is tied with 1998's January through September average temperature as being the second warmest for the Wisconsin area. So it just goes to show you how warm we have been throughout this year and how warm we continue to be, especially in these next couple of days. But with the warmer air does come that additional moisture, which is why we're going to keep that wetter than average trend as we go into the start of November. Mid to upper 60s to low 70s tomorrow, average high right around 54 degrees. There's a look at your 10-day forecast. We should dry out in time for trick-or-treating on Thursday, but take the the First Warn weather app with you. You can track out any lingering showers on that interactive radar there. And then we remain dry to end next week before rain showers move back in starting next weekend.
I can't believe that October's already wrapping up. I still have so many Halloween movies I need to get through. So I know.
You only got a couple more days.
I know. I still need to get through the Halloween Towns, the Twilight, and you name it. All right. Well, sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. Even if you don't work from home every day, many of us do it from time to time. And for those of us that want to boost our office or make it a little bit more comfortable, Consumer Reports has a few items for you.
Setting up a comfortable and ergonomic home office can be challenging.
I've tried at least 6 chairs the last 3 years.
Until she finds the right one, Rachel Kent works from an old wooden chair in her home office.
The wooden chair is not ideal, but it doesn't cause me lower back pain like the fancy chairs I tried to buy.
To help folks like Rachel find comfort while working from home, Consumer Reports ergonomic experts recently evaluated budget office chairs.
When looking for an ergonomic chair, the one thing I tell people to focus on is adjustability, because that's going to allow you to fit the chair to your body.
CR says with the Staples Dexley chair, you can adjust the height, armrest, lumbar, and headrest. If you're working on a laptop, a stand can raise the top of your screen to eye level so you don't strain your neck looking down. The Insignia ergonomic laptop stand requires no assembly or tools to adjust the height. While using a mouse, a wrist rest can keep your wrist in a neutral position to help reduce hand or wrist discomfort. Consider this small and supportive one from Belkin. And if your feet can't rest flat on the floor, try a footrest like this option from Mount It to bring the floor to you.
With a footrest, you're going to help support the feet and take some pressure off the underside of the thigh, which you'd find if your feet were just dangling.
No matter how long it takes, upgrading your space to fit your needs is worth the work.
When I find the right chair, I'm going to feel like my home office is finally complete.
This is Marcy Whalen.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Kamala wouldn't change a thing? Their weakness invited wars, welfare for illegals, while Americans struggle. Now Kamala wants higher taxes on top of higher prices. We can't afford 4 more years of Kamala.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
California banker Eric Hovde has a plan that helps him and hurts you.
Here's the math. Hovde proposed $4 trillion in new tax cuts for rich people like him.
And we pay for Hovde's tax breaks with a 28% cut to Social Security and a 25% cut to Medicare.
Hovde even said he would raise the retirement age.
You have to start changing the retirement age.
Eric Hovde still helping himself and hurting you.
Win Senate is responsible for the content of this ad.
I'm sick and tired of getting ripped off by career politicians. And Tammy Baldwin, she's one of the worst. Baldwin's in bed with Wall Street. While she sleeps in her girlfriend's $1 million condo in New York City, Wisconsin families are getting hammered by high inflation and handouts for illegal immigrants. Tammy and her girlfriend are living large while Wisconsin families foot the bill. Frankly, it's time for Tammy Baldwin to go.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
We need leadership focused on addressing rising costs, prioritizing quality schools. But Elizabeth Grabi, endorsed by a group that would take power away from local school boards and put state bureaucrats in charge. And Grabi's backed by extremists who wanted to defund the police. Elizabeth Grabi, dangerously out of touch. Todd Novak is our trusted independent voice, helping families with rising costs, delivering funding for local law enforcement and emergency services, investing in rural broadband and our schools. Todd Novak for Assembly.
It seems like everyone in Washington is either too far left or too far right. I'm Rebecca Cook, and like most folks in Wisconsin, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'll stand up to Democrats to fight for a secure border and stop wasteful spending. I'll stand up to extremists like Derek Van Orden, who wants to ban all abortions with no exceptions. Like you, I'm fed up and ready for change. I approve this message because it's time that we sent one of us to Congress.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it.
He did it.
It was pretty devastating.
He is bragging about the rights that he stole from American women. And Trump is promising to do more. In Project 2025.
They're restricting birth control,
tracking pregnant women, enforcing a nationwide abortion ban. The government should get out of my business.
Stay out of my business.
That's not the government's business.
In America, women make their own decisions.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Today's Packers game against the Jacksonville Jaguars was one that really could have not gone the Packers' way. It's one that the Packers enter with a much better record with, but on the flip side of that, you got to understand the Jacksonville Jaguars needed this win. Jordan Love went down early, but once again, Malik Willis stepped in and did so masterfully. Defense set up Willis and the offense in prime position, and they capitalized. A Tucker Kraft touchdown, which is fitting because today is actually National Tight Ends Day. The Packers take a 27-17 lead, and things seemed good. But then the Jags came back. After a field goal, Trevor Lawrence with a chance to tie it. He's working his way down the field. About the 14-yard line, Lawrence fires for the end zone into basically triple coverage. Evan Ingram comes down with it, and suddenly in Jacksonville, we've got a ball game on our hands. Under 2 minutes left, Malik Willis engineers a quick drive, and Brandon McManus plays hero again. It is good. The Packers win it. A gritty 30-7 win for Green Bay, and one they think should have been a whole lot easier.
And to be able to win on a walk-off 2 weeks in a row is kind of crazy. I don't want it to continue to happen that way. I'd like to win outright, but because it's taken years off our lives.
I felt like we should have closed the game out. I felt like we should have executed better. I felt like it shouldn't have been that type of fight at the end. But to be able to be in that position and still come out with a win, I think it speaks volumes to this team. But to go to where we want to go, I feel like we're going to have to get better at closing out.
Switching gears to our Badger Blitz, bringing you the biggest plays from Badgers in the NFL each week. Jonathan Taylor started it off. He rushes in for the touchdown, and Green Bay make that Indianapolis would go on to lose. He ran for 105 yards in the game. How about Braylon Allen following in Jonathan Taylor's footsteps? He gets into the end zone at 32 yards on the day, but the Jets lost 25-22, the final score. Wisconsin football has been taking the steps that they need to take to become the program that they believe that they can be. And for the most part of 3 quarters last night, that showed against number 3 Penn State. But in the 4th quarter, it fell apart. The Badgers are still in a good spot after that 28-13 loss, 5-3 on the season and playing good football. But to finish strong, there is a whole nother step they're going to have to take.
You know, the whole idea of get it to the 4th quarter and put ourselves in a position where we feel like we can excel and execute in the 4th, and that's what didn't happen.
I think we're due for one. I do. I think with the guys that we have on this team and the mentality that we have and the fight that we have, that it's coming, and we're going to make it happen.
And the Bucs on the road playing the Nets. Just the 3rd game of the season for Milwaukee, looking for their 2nd win. And Damian Lillard feeds Giannis. What a pass, and he gets the finish. Those two never get old. It was a 2-point game at the time, but the Nets pulled away. This is one you would expect Milwaukee to win, but they could not get it. Could not take care of business. Cam Thomas hits the 3, and Brooklyn wins it 115-102. There's got to be one takeaway from the Packers game, even though we may not have talked about it quite as much in this block, is that Jordan Love going out seemed very bad at the time and is maybe bad for the future. We don't really know what the diagnosis is, but Malik Willis, knowing you have a guy that can step in like that, kind of changes things for how you outlook your team.
And watching the game, I mean, that pass he ended up throwing to Jaden Reed to essentially put them in field goal range and seal it, it doesn't seem as if they're going to change too much of the offense with him. The training wheels look like they're coming off with Malik if he has some extended playing time in the future.
And Malik Willis has 3 wins on the year. Aaron Rodgers, he's got 2 of them.
Yeah, not looking good for those boys up in New York. Well, sounds good. Thank you, Andrew. A final check of your first one forecast is coming up when we return.
The other side is lying to scare you. Truth is, Joan Ballweg is a champion for women's health care. She fought hard to expand healthcare access for postpartum moms and supports access for IVF and birth control. We're voting for Joan Ballweg because she votes for women like us.
Washington is corrupt. Senator Baldwin says she fights against Wall Street, and yet she lives with a Wall Street executive and gets all this money from Wall Street. She says she's standing up to Big Pharma and Big Tech, but look at the money she rakes in from Big Pharma, Big Tech, and their executives. Senator Baldwin doesn't work for you, she works for them. I'm Eric Hovde, I approve this message. I'm not taking their special interest money, I'll only work for you.
What would a Trump second term look like? It's all laid out in his Project 2025 agenda. He'd let insurance companies deny coverage for pre-existing conditions, cut Social Security and Medicare, and give tax cuts to billionaires, while the middle class pays the price with lower income and higher costs. Because for Trump, it's all about getting unchecked power while you pay the price. Donald Trump, more unhinged, unstable, and unchecked.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Donald Trump intends to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations, to cut Social Security and Medicare, to impose what is in effect a national sales tax. When I am president, I will bring down the cost of groceries, My tax plan will give 100 million more Americans a tax cut, and unlike Donald Trump, I will always put the middle class and working families first.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
I'm Elizabeth Grabby, and this is Home. Whether it was saving our family farm, starting my small business, or standing up to utility rate hikes, I've learned to solve problems by bringing people together. And right now, we have some real problems to solve. Corporations jacking up prices, and extreme politicians banning abortion. I'm Elizabeth Grabby, and together we can bring down costs and protect the right to make our own medical decisions.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
I am a strong believer in pro-life. I am totally opposed to abortion.
Eric Hovde supports abortion bans. Republican extremists in the Senate already want to ban abortion nationwide. No exceptions for rape or incest. They want more anti-abortion judges. And to even make birth control and IVF illegal.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
We can't trust Eric Hovde.
Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme.
In the 608, weekdays only on News 3 Now this morning.
All right, Blaze, October is wrapping up. What should we expect?
Well, it's going to be a breezy day tomorrow with clouds steadily increasing. We'll be into the 60s, but we're into the 80s by Tuesday with isolated showers both Monday and Tuesday, but the better chance for rain and storms arrives on Wednesday, drying out for trick-or-treating.
All right, sounds good. And thank you all for joining us. See you back here tomorrow.